The organization, I'm going to have an interchangeable presentation. Fortunately, you hear I'm not a doctor, a professor, so I'm not a good teacher. I think you've been seeing good teachers before, so I'll try. I was telling, let's see, all right. I was talking to a few colleagues during the break, and I realized that the two countries are not far apart in terms of the challenges we're facing with the rights of persons with disabilities. Our organization will get to its background. We picked up this relationship from the former Secretary of State, Ms. Hone. This was after the discussions between the Eastern Cape government and Lower Saxony state. We had our previous ambassador in Germany comes from the Eastern Cape, Dr. Ostfalia. He passed away 3 years ago. Our current ambassador in Germany also comes from the Eastern Cape. So I think the Eastern Cape has a very close bond with Germany, also because of VW South Africa, where we manufacture or assemble vehicles. And in 2017, we then met the prof. With Uwe, we had discussions, and we finally concluded on the relationship where Eastern Cape Disability Trust focus is to coordinate the activities of the program in South Africa, especially in the Eastern Cape. And we are in partnership with 5 NGOs, together with the University of, Nelson Mandela University, providing academic and technical background. So with 51 million people in the country, and the latest survey says there are 7.5 persons with disabilities in the country. We are amongst the first few countries to ratify the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability. And disabled people participate in government structures in the country. We were part of negotiating the transition to the democratic state. Disabled people have always found their stay within the African National Congress, which is the ruling party, because for every quarter of society, then people were allowed to self-represent themselves. We are represented by Disabled People South Africa. You would know that internationally you have International Disability Organization. And then in our country, we have an umbrella organization called Disabled People South Africa, which is an organization that represents all different types of disabilities. And then this organization led in making sure that people with disabilities self-represent. We have ministers who are disabled, we have deputy ministers who are disabled, and we have public servants who are also disabled. We are placed under the office of the president, where all decisions that are taken in as far as the development of people, disabled people are also represented in the office of the president. Where I come from in the Eastern Cape, we fall under the office of the premier, which is what you're seeing there that says OTP, which is in your terms the Secretary of State. Like I said, we self-represent. You sit in many commissions. For an example, the South African Human Rights Commission is a commission that looks after all the human rights to make sure that people are not discriminated against. We have disabled people who are commissioners. We serve on the Gender Commission, which looks at the representativity around gender issues, and we serve in many different boards. In 1994, after the negotiations and the country being handed over to a democratic state, we got involved up to a point that in 2007, we ratified the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities together with its protocols. And to domesticate it or to bring a piece of legislation in the country, we have a number of policies that make sure that people with disabilities are represented and they have universal access in the general public life. Disabled People South Africa, I'm not going to bore you with much of that. It was established in 1984 during the apartheid time, but then they engaged with different governments to make sure that people are represented. The Eastern Cape Disability Trust, which is where I come from, the name has since changed. We are now called Disability Economic Empowerment Trust because we are the only trust in the country that offers the services we are offering. So the entire population requested that we engage with other provinces. So we established in 2004. We have 6 trustees. 4 of them are persons with disabilities. The chairperson of the trust is a person with disability. And our office is situated in East London. When you visit South Africa, make sure you come and have coffee there. We have good coffee there. And we have different agreements with provincial government department to make sure that we survive, and we get our funding through donor funding, the National Lottery, and we work with the training authorities. The purpose of our existence is to make sure that we develop a database of persons with disability, to make sure we provide training for them, we provide employment opportunities, but we also make sure that we close the skills gap amongst them through building of the linkages with different companies. And we work with what is called in our country, every worker pays a certain amount of money, which is 1% of his or her wage. It goes to the National Skills Fund. The National Skills Fund is then distributed to companies and NGOs to make sure that they foster training for all people. Currently, we are training 300 disabled people from different types of disabilities. And whilst they are on training, they get paid to attend the training, right? Our current projects, like I said, is job placement through this program, because generally disabled people are not employed because of attitudes of employers, attitudes of colleagues, attitudes of society in general. So we use the programs such as public employment program to place disabled people in gainful employment, and they continuously get paid apart from their social grants. But we also place them in jobs. And through that program, we have what we call a job creation initiative, where when you go on our website, you'll see we have a jobs portal. Employers can pick up disabled people, there are persons with disabilities, and get to employ them. We do a lot of skills development. Like I said, the Department of Higher Education, through different work-based sitters, provide a lot of money to train disabled people. And we also help disabled people to start their own businesses. And then we have a driver training program. All disabled people that qualifies to drive, we give them free driver training. From a classroom to driving a car. We have 3 cars currently that we use in the province to make sure that people are trained. And I did talk about the public employment. Our partnership is to coordinate the development of the digital learning material. We saw that there might be peculiarities or differences in terms of where we pitch disability. If we were running this conference in South Africa, 90% of the audience would be people with disabilities. Our slogan is nothing about us without us. You don't talk about disabled people when they are not there. They must participate in the program. They must make choices. They must make decisions. They must take a lead. They must give us instructions. That's the nature of the game. We work with the university, Nelson Mandela University, like Prof. Soji would be coming after me. We developed the material. Some of it were coming from Germany. We translated it. After translating it, we made sure that the university review the material and they give us a report. So the report has currently some recommendations. Again, if I was standing in South Africa, people would leave if there was no sign language interpreter here. It is a must that part of inclusivity, deaf people must participate in the process or programs, and blind people must also participate. So part of our program is that you don't run any conference unless there's universal accessibility, all right? So purpose of this partnership, it's whilst you're training people to gain access to employment, key is independent living. People must be able to live, people must be able to socialize, people must be able to do everything for themselves, all right? And it must create job opportunities or access to job opportunities. People must be able to go and look for a job. Society in general discourage persons with disabilities from looking for a job because we don't create access for people to be able to have access in the employment due to the barriers we have. Many workplaces are not universally accessible. Public transport system doesn't talk to persons with disabilities. Some of the education facilities doesn't allow persons with disabilities to participate. So this program actually supports the people by making sure that on their phone, on the tablet, or right in their face, they can be able to engage. But we think there must be segments. We must know that the focus is for this group and that focus is for that group. All right? I'm almost done. The promotion of sustainable livelihoods should be like the prof was saying this morning. He is an elderly, so he has some form of disability. And I can ask all of you here, who doesn't have disability? Who doesn't have disability? So no one. So all of us have some form of disability. So it means when we develop training programs and try to engage persons with disability, we must also know that we are temporarily not disabled. Anything can happen to any of us, and later the systems we are building, we're not building for them, we're building for an inclusive society. So one day, we are also going to be able to use that. We know due to the stresses in the world, you have psychosocial problems. Some people are hiding them, but they form part of disability. So we should know that we're preparing for all of us, not for them. That's why we're saying nothing about us without us. Thank you very much, Prof. We had to develop a website as part of the agreement. The website, it's the same platform as DDAP. The purpose of the website is to make sure that people have access. But you'll see as part of the website, we have quite a number of videos that we have developed. And from establishing the needs, we then had to create awareness and had to focus on education and then support persons with disabilities. So these are the learning guides. I'll just take perhaps the one that we all like. We all like money. And money is universally accessible. I don't know whether you know, it's the most commodity that is universally accessible. If you take your euro, you will see the euro is brailled. Not everything is brailled, but you see money is universally accessible. So that's brailing for you. So it means it's everything that we have to work under. So we created this videos around the financial guides. And mainly, I think this one talks about how you plan your shopping. I don't know how to open it now. One day all right, oh, there you go.
In this video, you will learn about planning for shopping. Planning your shopping will not only help you in preventing multiple trips to the store, but prevent you from buying unnecessary items at the store, therefore saving you time, money, and avoiding wastage. The tips below will help you when you are planning shopping trips. Tip number 1. After checking cupboards and the pantry, consolidate a list of the items you will need at the shop. Tip number 2. Shop when the store is least crowded, typically earlier in the morning on weekdays. Weekends, lunchtime, and month ends are more crowded. Tip number 3. Use the layout of the store to create your shopping list to minimize movement around the shop and reduce opportunities of impulsive buying. Tip number 4. Buy in bulk. It will save you time and money in the long term. Items tend to be cheaper as you buy in bulk. Tip number 5. Essentials and daily use items should come first when consolidating the shopping list, and the other items will follow. Tip number 6. While creating the shopping list, make an estimation of how much it will cost you. A budget. This will help you in not spending more than anticipated. Tip number 7. If there is any money left, consider trying new items with that money so as to consider the items on the next shopping trip. In this learning unit, you have learned the importance of planning for shopping. You can repeat this learning video for a better understanding.
Our challenge as a country is that we have 11 official languages. And recently, the sign language was also enacted to be the 12th official language. So you can imagine that if you really want to reach out to everyone, you might have to translate all videos in 11 different languages. We have agreed that the coming videos or the new videos that we are going to make, they will always have sign language interpreters so that a deaf person must be able to interact with the video, and they will also have subtitles. So as you can see, that's in short where the project comes from. I think the rest of the stuff, the Professor Koloff has talked to it. And I just want to show you, these are the partners. It's the Eastern Cape Disability Trust. We have the Border Chamber of Business, which have been engaging with the professor. We are engaging with them further to see where do they fit in. But their importance is that they will then go and influence the employers to employ persons with disabilities. And you have, these are NGOs in the main, including the one from here in the country. And we are happy to partner with this state, and both universities are providing technical support. Danke.